Sometimes when you're reading the Bible, you have to read between the lines. And I'm going to share what I mean in this video. For example, in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve were told not to eat from the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. And instead they disobeyed, and they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And God said, we can't, now that they know what we know, we can't let them partake of the tree of life, and kick them out of the garden. Why? I believe it is because God had a plan in place for future events for his son to come and reign on earth. And it wasn't Adam and Eve's time to know all these things, what's going to happen in the future. That wasn't their purpose. That wasn't what they were supposed to be doing. In time, I believe God was going to show them, but if they partook of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and then took of the tree of life, they would be sealed in their fate for, I believe, for all eternity. So God had to prevent that from happening. And because he had a plan in place before the foundation of the earth, as people began to come upon the earth, the ancestors of Adam and Eve, they were further and further away from the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, meaning they would understand future events less and less and less as we go on, till we get to Daniel. And Daniel, we see, gets a snapshot of the end of the world, the end of the ages, the latter days, if you will. He gets a glimpse. And throughout the book of Daniel, Daniel has a couple of visions, 2 or 3 visions, and God shows him exactly what's going to happen. And then he tells Daniel something interesting. Look at this. It says to Daniel, "But thou, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book." So there is a book that describes the future for Israel, what's going to happen to Israel. There is a book that describes everything, describes what future kings are coming. It describes the Antichrist, the rise of the beast, the false prophet, the mark of the beast, all this kind of stuff in the future. And I believe God showed him exactly what was going to happen, but then he tells Daniel to seal it up at the end of the book of Daniel in chapter 12. Right here, "But thou, Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even till the time of the end, and many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." So then even later, Daniel says, "I heard, but I understood not." So he heard everything, saw everything, but didn't understand what he was seeing. He said, "Oh my Lord, what shall be the end of these things?" So what's going to trigger the end and all this kind of stuff? And he said, "Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the end of the time." So he's basically saying, you don't need to be concerned about this. You're going to die. You're going to pass away. And this is in the future, a long time in the future. So we have a book now that is sealed up. And I wonder if we can have access to this book that was sealed up, and what would happen if we had that book in our hands, let's just say 10 years from when Daniel saw his visions. What would we think? If we open up that book that is sealed, what would we think? We would think that's a future event for what's going to happen to the nation of Israel. If it was 100 years from now, we would still think the same thing. Well, it is 2023, and I believe that for the last 2023 years, we have a book that has been opened up that is showing us what the future is, and it's for Israel. It's not for us Christians. It's for Israel, and I'm going to show you that book. It's right here. This is the book. This is the book that was sealed up right here. The book of Revelation. I believe this is the book that Daniel had access to, and God said, seal it up. Then we see on the island of Patmos, God saying to John, basically right here, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him to shew unto his servants things, which is Israel, which must shortly come to pass. And when I say shortly, excuse me, I mean shortly in this book, not in our time, not today. It's the time frame inside this book. That's what's going to come to pass shortly. Most likely inside a 3.5 year gap would be my guess. If you want to stretch it out to 7 years, you can stretch it out to 7 years. But that, in the light of eternity, in the light of our history, that is a short time, and it's going to happen very fast. So that's what Jesus is saying when he says what is going to happen, what must shortly come to pass, which must shortly happen. It's not talking about today that this is going to shortly happen, like Christ is coming today. This is the book that was sealed up to tell the servants of God, which is Israel, the nation of Israel, what's going to happen very quickly. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense, because you have to read between the lines. This is not for us Christians to be like, oh, Jesus is coming tomorrow. No, that's not what this book is saying. This book is saying that the events that are in this book are going to happen very, very quickly. And when this book was sealed up in Daniel's day, the angel was saying, these events are happening down the road in the future. But when they happen, they're going to happen very quick. Because if God didn't do it quickly, there would be nobody left on the planet. Nobody left. So this is why Jesus has to come back and intervene, because everyone will get wiped out. That's my humble opinion. This is why I believe we have to sometimes read between the lines of what's going on. And the only way to do this is if you just keep reading the Bible over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden you're going to get a snapshot of basically everything. So if this makes sense to you, feel free to subscribe to this channel. Feel free to comment. Let me know what your thoughts are about the book of Revelation, the book of Daniel. And does this make sense to you? And if you got something out of this, make sure and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.